Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're at. Hope you're doing well today. It's Trust here, and I wanted to jump on quickly today. Let me move closer to the light to carry on the conversation we have been having. So first of all, before I get into it, like the video, subscribe to my channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, just go ahead and go onto my YouTube page and like that as well, so you're notified when I put on more videos. Okay, so we've been talking for the last few weeks about money management and budget. Last week I made a part 1 video about how to start a budget. If you've not watched that, I would advise you go watch that first before watching this, because then it would make more sense and you'll be able to follow the plan properly. Got that out of the way. If I am looking down, that's again because I'm looking at my notes. I don't want to miss anything. I want to make sure I cover everything. But like I said, I'm going to keep it quite short today. So a bit of a recap from last week about getting started. We talked about gathering information. Gathering information about what are your must pay for. So we talked about things like rent, utilities, transport to work, internet if you work from home and you need the internet for that. We also talked about if you have any debts, what are the minimum payments for that. So those sort of things that are absolutely essential that need to be done for you to have a roof over your head to exist, basically. So we talked last week about gathering that information together and seeing how much that comes to. So assuming you've done that, because why wouldn't you? Part 2, we're going to talk about what to now do with that information. So once you get that, the next step would then be to subtract the sum total of that amount from what is your income. So I know that most people get paid monthly, although I have heard of people that get paid every 2 months or every quarter. I also know that some people get paid every 2 weeks as well. So whichever frequency you get paid at, it might be, well, I find it easier to work from a monthly payment. So if you can get what is your average over the course of a month, and what you then do is subtract the total amount from those essentials, so those things that need to happen from your total income, and see what you have left. Before I go any further, if you find that either you have nothing left or you're not even able to do the subtraction in the first place, if what you make is less than what are those absolute essentials, then there are 2 things to look at, and these are a whole lot of topics on their own, things to look at, and I'll probably talk about later on in the channel. But if you're not able to do the subtraction or you have nothing left, then you can either look into ways of making more money. And in 2019, there are so many ways to do that. So many ways people are doing it. It's a case of figuring out one way that works for you and completely focusing on it until you get there. So that's one way. Or the other option is to look at what areas can the cost be brought down or can be made more efficient? What are some areas within those essentials that you're paying more than you really need to be paying for? I know that for most people, food is a huge area where people spend more than they really need to be spending, and many areas like that. So those are the 2 things if you fall into those categories. And I will touch back on those in later videos and do more series on that. But let's assume, like most people, you are able to make that subtraction and you have an amount that's left. That's where the fun begins, because that is money that you get to spend on your future, fairy. And I am interested in you mastering your money and having complete peace of mind about where you're at money-wise. The first area that I'm going to look at is saving. If you have watched my other video regarding, what's the title now? My other video about how to guarantee success for yourself, and also my video about why it's okay to fail and quit sometimes. You know, I talk about having up to 3 to 6 months of what you need to live on saved at all times. I know that sounds like a big amount, but it is completely doable. And the peace of mind that you get from that, and the total contentment and power actually that you feel from knowing that if anything was to happen to your job tomorrow or some unexpected event, you would be fine for 3 to 6 months. You would have that breathing space to actually take your time and figure out what you want to do next. So that would be the first area I'll be looking at. Do you have 3 to 6 months of what you need to, the bare minimum, saved up? If you don't have it, that would be the first place I would say have a direct debit set up, or standing order actually, if you're doing it yourself. That would be the first account I would be looking to put into. Now, it can be as little or as much as you can to start with, but it is absolutely essential. It is not a race. You don't have to set a timer that has to be saved up within the next month or two. The idea is not to put that much pressure on yourself, and most people can't anyway. But that needs to be an account that is being fed into on a monthly, weekly, however much you're being paid basis, so that you have that in place, because that then frees up so much. Like I said, the power you get from that peace of mind, knowing that that is in place, it is incredible. That is the first place I'll be looking at. Have 3 to 6 months worth of saving in place, or be working towards doing that. The next thing I would be looking at, so we talked about if you have debt, the minimum payments, that is one of the must-have essentials that you should already have in place at this point. Then we'll be looking at what can we do to do more than the minimum payment. Do you have room in your budget to up that? And maybe later on I will talk about percentages. I know that it's probably not one size fits all for everyone for how much percentage of your income should go towards this or that. But if you can, even if it's just a little amount to top up more than the minimum payments, then you have a better chance of clearing that as quickly as possible, because it is probably gathering interest and you end up costing you more in the long run. So one approach that I have found works, helps with a lot of people, is if you have more than one debt, to start with the smallest one. So you chip away at the smallest one, anything extra you pay onto that one and you clear that quickly, and then the minimum payment from that, and then anything else you are paying towards that, you can put that then towards the next biggest debt, and so on and so forth. And what that does is that you see yourself making progress bit by bit. You can actually see what you're doing there. So chipping away at your debt, because that is actually costing you money, and we don't need to be paying for stuff that we don't need to be paying for, essentially. I'm just checking the time, so I need to dash off quickly. The next item I was going to look at is a fun budget. We all need to have fun. We've covered the essential things. An amount that you will put aside each month that will be for things that you just love doing, things for fun. For me, I do karate. I love doing it. I love the sweat. I love the self-defense skills and things like that. An amount that you can put aside for yourself to do something fun. Exercising in general doesn't need to cost you money. I don't think that a gym membership is an essential. If you have access to the internet, if you have access to a street, basically, you can go for a run in the parks, that you can do exercising. That is not an essential. But if you've covered that and it's something that you want to do for fun or dancing or whatever it is, decide an amount that you want to put towards that. Okay. And then the last thing I was going to look at is investment. Now, I know probably not a favorite topic for everyone, but it is worth getting into and it is worth learning about. So whether that be in stocks, shares, bonds, and things like that, I will share in the future what I do know about those. But if you have an amount left, that is an area I would start thinking about as well, because again, that is building towards that security and that amount that you have in place to contribute towards a sense of peace of mind, having things in control and knowing that things will be taken care of. But those were my points to add to today. I know it's a lot of information. Go back and watch the video again. Make notes of those key areas. So subtracting from your income, whatever's left, you'll be looking at saving. You'll be looking at your fund budget. You'll be looking at making more than the minimum payments for your debt, and you'll be looking at investments. As I'm sure you can imagine, each of those has a lot we can talk about, and we will go into them at a later date. But isolate those areas, look at what you have left after you paid for your essentials, and then see how you can divide that to go into those key areas that will contribute towards money mastery and really mastering your money. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I said, if you've not watched the video before that, go ahead and watch that because this will make a bit more sense. If you find this information useful, then comment below, add your thoughts, let's have a discussion. Like the video, share it if you think there's anyone that will find it useful, and look out for probably part 3. Yes, I think there'll be a part 3, and just to wrap things up. Okay, that's all for now. Have a good rest of the day and look after yourself. I will come back to you soon. Okay, bye.